And we continue at 1:05 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs in Culver City.
It always sounded too good to be true. The Brightline West high-speed rail train that's supposed to go from Victorville to Vegas, that was supposed to be operating by the Olympics in 2028, is now on track to be ready by late 2029.
Uh-oh. Well, at least they didn't start out in the Central Valley with this one, too.
No, just Victorville.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Curtis Sliwa, who is the Republican who ran against the new mayor of New York City, Mayor Mamdani, joins us at the top of the hour. But right now, it is our pleasure to welcome our next guest to the program. He is a state senator representing a district, the 36th district, which is based out of Orange County, Huntington Beach area. Senator Tony Strickland, welcome.
Hi, John. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too, and thanks so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having me. Always enjoy spending time with you.
Let's start out talking about the governor's budget proposal, because he alluded to what was in his budget during the State of the State address, which he gave not long ago. However, but when it came time to go through the details of what was in his budget, he didn't bother to show up. He sent an underling to the press conference, and the underling was the one that had to field questions from the news media. The underling didn't know the answer to many of the questions that were being asked, and now we're told we just all need to sit back and wait until May, and then we'll tell you what is in there. Well, according to the state legislative analyst's office, Governor Gavin Newsom's budget proposal is a budget proposal that's using a lot of smoke and mirrors, where he is anticipating the stock market cooking, which is odd considering he talks about how much he hates Donald Trump at every opportunity, but his entire budget is based on a Trump economy just crushing it. And beyond that, they said that he's not really dealing with reality, that he is kicking the can down the road, and these problems that the state of California is facing will persist, and a future governor will have to deal with it. Your thoughts on Gavin Newsom's proposed budget?
Well, I think you articulated very well. First of all, Gavin Newsom is not focused on being governor of California. Every morning he wakes up to try to figure out how he wants to be president of the United States. And so, he's just not here. We need a governor who is present. That's number one. He doesn't want to answer questions because he can't answer those questions. The fact of the matter is, historically, I served with 5 governors, and historically we always go with the nonpartisan LAO projections of an $18 billion deficit. He's saying that we only have a $3 billion projection. It's almost like he's Peter Pan. He's governing with pixie dust, living in fantasy land. You can't just make up. If you want to solve a problem, you've got to know exactly what the problem is. And from a state budget proposal, you need to know exactly what your deficit is, what you're spending more than you're taking in. Like every family has to do in their family budget. The problem here is California doesn't have a revenue problem. It has a wasteful spending problem. Actually, revenues are way up in California from the stock market and AI. Trump's economy is coming around. But the very fact of the matter is we have a deficit because California keeps spending more than we take in.
I'm going to ask you a question that I've asked any number of members of the state legislature, because I think it's important, particularly when you're dealing with something as complex as a budget. How engaged is the governor in the debate, in the negotiation? And I say that because you talk to people who served with Arnold Schwarzenegger. If you needed his attention, if you had an issue with something that he put in his budget, he had the tent where the cigars were being smoked. You knew where to find them. You could show up. You could ask your question. You may not like the answer, but you would have an opportunity to be heard. People who served with Jerry Brown say that Jerry Brown was very visible throughout the Capitol. You could see him in the hallways. You could see him at the Starbucks. You could see him all over town. He was there, and you could just stop him and ask him a question, and he would have the conversation with you. But when I ask members of the legislature who have served with Gavin Newsom if they have that kind of access to the governor on a subject as important as this, or really any subject, The answer I get is almost uniformly, we have no contact with him at all. On the rare occasion that he's in town, he's surrounded by security. You can't get on his calendar for a meeting. You don't see him at the Starbucks. You don't see him in the hallways. You can't smoke a cigar with him. It is an absentee landlord. And that's not just for the minority party, but I've heard that from members of the majority too. Is that your experience?
No, that's exactly. You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly. I've served with 5 governors, and this governor is the worst governor by far. It's not even close. As you mentioned, Jerry Brown, I served with Jerry Brown. Even though I didn't always agree with him, he would actually come to see where I was and search me out to talk about an issue that was important to the governor, that he would want to work hand in hand with the legislature. Same thing as you mentioned with Arnold Schwarzenegger. He loved the relationship with the legislature, both Democrat and Republican, and encouraged them to come down to have that smoking tent. Even Gray Davis, when I served with Gray Davis, he actually encouraged you to come down to his office and talk about policy. He really wanted to talk about education policy, but he was always there if you wanted to sit down and talk to him on bipartisan level. This governor is not close to Democrats or the Republicans here in the legislature. This governor is not. I'll say this way again: his whole focus is to try to run for president of the United States. But the problem with that is he's not doing the job of governor of California. And California has serious problems, and we need serious solutions, and we need a serious leader. And we're rudderless right now because we don't have a governor of California who's engaged in these important issues.
Right now, the SEIU is pushing a wealth confiscation tax that could end up on the ballot here statewide this November. They want a tax that will produce billions of dollars that will go to their membership, and all of that would be carved out in this specific proposal. Now, so far, they have not collected the required number of signatures to get it on the ballot, and the poll numbers show that it would likely not pass. However, if they're willing to spend whatever it takes, who knows what will happen if this were to make it to the ballot. So far, Gavin Newsom has said that he is opposed to the initiative, but it's a Cold War right now that hasn't gone hot yet. It seems like the SEIU assumes that they're going to negotiate with the governor and get something else that they want if they pull this from the ballot. Who knows what's going on right now behind the scenes between those two parties? We know that Gavin Newsom doesn't want to run for president as being a governor who is a tax and spend kind of guy. While those two parties are doing whatever it is that they're doing, the billionaires who realize what this would do to them, what this would do to their portfolios, how they would have to liquidate certain things in order to be compliant with what it would say in this initiative, they're deciding that because it's retroactive, they're going to hightail it out of town. And we have seen an estimated $1 trillion in wealth already leave the state of California. Given the fact that our tax structure is extremely progressive as it is, if you take $1 trillion from some of the richest people in the state of California out of state, and as of now, they're no longer residents of the state of California, that in and of itself could blow the budget. What kind of fire is the SEIU playing with here with this proposal?
This would be devastating game, set, match to California. 20% of the revenue that we get for our state budget comes from 200 individuals. Those are the 200 individuals who are the billionaire. As reported by Fox Business and other media outlets, people like Peter Thiel, David Sachs, and Larry Page have all said just that the proposal has them leaving California, and as just the proposal has us losing that $1 trillion. As I mentioned before, John, California doesn't have a revenue problem. The revenues are way up. We have a spending problem. The way to put it in perspective, in 2012, our whole entire state budget was $98 billion. Today, it's over $350 billion, and we've increased our budget spending by 3.5 times, and we're losing population. And so, again, even if they pass this, they have an appetite for spending. It's a spending addiction. They'll spend through that money, and in perpetuity, we'll lose 20% of the people who fund our budget, and we'll lose trillions of dollars on top of that. And so this is a reckless proposal that would decimate California. and hurt the very people they think that they're trying to help. Because at the end of the day, it's that 1% of earners that really fund almost more than half of our budget. And so this is a reckless proposal that can't go forward. Even Gavin Newsom says he's against this proposal.
If they chase the billionaires out, if the people who are creating all the wealth in Silicon Valley and in AI pack up their things and they move out of state, I can't imagine the SEIU saying, well, we chase the billionaires out. There's no money out there for us. Let's just learn to live within our means. What I suspect they will do is say, okay, we're going to go after the middle class. Let's get rid of Prop 13. Let's find ways to go after homeowners in California, and we need to get all the juice out of the squeeze.
Well, they're already doing that. I mean, they've already been attacking the middle class this whole time. You know, when we have these high gas tax, that higher gas prices fall disproportionately on those hardworking California families living paycheck to paycheck. When it comes to our electricity costs, we're 50% higher than the national average. The affordability crisis in buying a home, the affordability crisis is real here in California. That's why it's the first time in California history since the gold rush, more people are leaving the state than coming in. Think about that, John. We live in an oasis here in California. We live in the best weather in the world. People are leaving here to go to the cold weather where it's frozen in Montana and Idaho, and they're going to the humidity over in Florida because one thing, the policies of Gavin Newsom in the state legislature. The good news is we're one leader away from prosperity, but we need to turn this around fast.
As you mentioned, Newsom is opposed to the SEIU tax, or I guess I should say wealth confiscation. So far, many of the other Democrats in Sacramento, members of the legislature, and candidates for governor are taking a pass. It's the quarterback running out of bounds instead of getting hit. They don't want to answer the question whether or not they're in favor of this or not. Where do you think many of them will ultimately end up?
Well, I think ultimately they'll end up opposed to it, because I think if you are the leader of California, you have to understand that you would drive away over 20% of the budget. And as it is now, we're spending money relying on a booming economy, the AI economy, and that's not going to continue. We're doing ongoing spending to match a really strong economy and AI, AI increase in our stock portfolio. So in our capital gains increase. And so right now we need to get back within our means and start realizing we can't keep spending this kind of money. And right now, Governor Newsom is just doing accounting gimmicks and everything he has to do to just get out of Dodge and leave all these important decisions to whoever the next governor of California is. It's going to be a mess for whoever the next governor of California is.
Gavin Newsom cannot run for another term. He's barred from doing that by state term limits. Another individual will be serving as governor of California next year, and all of these problems will be theirs. The Attorney General of the state of California, Rob Bonta, kept hinting that he was considering jumping in the race for governor. Ultimately, at the 11th hour, for the second time, he decided against jumping in. Why do you think he made that decision? And why do you think so many bold-faced names in California politics are taking a pass on this race?
Well, in the case of Attorney General Bonta, I think there's an investigation going on in Oakland that he's now spent over $500,000 on attorney fees. So there's something there, in my opinion. Bonta has already spent over $70 million to sue the federal government on frivolous lawsuits, and he doesn't have a good record on that. And I think, when it really came down to, he wanted to stay put because he wasn't willing to give up his attorney general spot on the chance of him running for governor. There's still two other potential Democrats that might jump in the race. From my understanding, Rick Caruso still looking at it, as well as San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan. It's already a crowded field. And right now, when you look at the polls, the top two Republicans, Steve Hilton and Sheriff Bianco are 1-2 or 1-3 based on the poll that you look at. And so with the jungle primary, it is not inconceivable, especially if you have two other Democrats that jump in, that we can have two Republicans make it to the runoff.
Let's say that this is late April, early May, and we're still looking at polls showing the two Republican candidates in the 1 and 2 position. I can't imagine that the California Democratic Party would allow that to happen. And certainly if it did happen that way, I can't imagine that they would allow the top 2 primary to exist in the future in the state of California. How much pressure do you think they're going to start to put on some of these also-rans to drop out of the race?
It'll be enormous amounts of pressure. But the real difference is some of these folks, they all have a different wing within the Democratic Party. That's why it's so split up. And so, the Democratic Party will come out in droves, but who are they going to pressure and who they're going to try to get out? Because there's the different factions within that Democratic Party that have their selected candidate. And are you going to push out Antonio Villaraigosa? Are you going to push out Javier Becerra? Are you going to push out these folks? They're going to try. But at the end of the day, they all have a little part of that Democratic coalition that allows them to stay in that race. And so, and with two other people potentially jumping in, it could be a situation where you end up with two Republicans. And you're absolutely right, John. The very next day, the legislature will introduce a constitutional amendment to get rid of the jungle primary if that were the case.
I just don't see how you make the argument to these people to get out, because if you're Antonio, this is the last hurrah. It's not like you're going to go back on the city council. The guy's in his 70s. He's always wanted to be governor. This is it. Mm-hmm. And why would you drop out of the race if you're bunched together with everyone else? And you could make the argument that your chance is as good as any of the other Democrats. Why should you be the one to stand down for all of these other people like Katie Porter and Eric Swalwell that they don't even like?
No, absolutely correct. And then Tom Steyer, he's running as an outsider within that party as well. And then Rick Caruso has his own resources. And it's split between Northern and Southern California. That's why I think it's almost a perfect group where they say, well, why am I getting out? I'm stronger than who you're asking to stay in. And no one's really had a breakout in that group. They're all kind of bunched together. And so I think it'd be very difficult for them to encourage them to get out because, as you said, Antonio Villaraigosa, this is his shot. This is it. If he doesn't run this time, he's never going to run for governor of California. I can't see a scenario where Antonio Villaraigosa drops out of the race by way of example.
State Senator Tony Strickland, a Republican of Huntington Beach. You can find him online at stricklandforsenate.com. Senator Tony Strickland, thanks so much for stopping by.
John, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, if you want to see us live and in person later on in the week, that's easy to do.
All you got to do is join us in Sherman Oaks. We're going to be at the Pineapple Hill Saloon and Grill this Friday from noon to 3. It's a live broadcast of the John Phillips Show. Hey, I like that show. They've got great food, great drinks, and Susan Shelley's going to be joining us from the Howard Jarvis Taxpayer Association because we're not just there to party it up on Jimmy Buffett Friday, although you, the audience, get to start drinking at noon. Johnny and I have to wait till 3 because we're responsible broadcasters. But Susan Shelley's going to join us because the courts have made it easier to raise your taxes. We need you to come by and sign the petition to Save Prop 13, which you can do right now. SaveProp13.com. SaveProp13.com. Susan needs those signatures by February 17th. SaveProp13.com. We'll tell you more about your taxpayer rights and protecting Prop 13. It's the John Phillips Show, live at Pineapple Hill in Sherman Oaks on Friday.
But right now, it's time to open up the California Crime Blotter.
Get out of my shop.
Wait, what happened?
Well, sometimes Katie just needs to be heard.
Oh, I think Did I overwrite one of the Crime Blotter intros with that drop? Let's see. Okay, this cut is 92042, and this cut is 92042. Whoops! Okay, let's use one of the other ones.
It's happened yet again.
It's Wild Wild West out here.
It's the California Crime Blotter with John
And Randy.
Well, if she assaulted her ex-husband, you could technically make her a part of the blotter.
Get out of my shop.
Johnny, this version of the blotter takes us to your old stomping grounds, the old Westminster Mall, which has become abandoned and full of graffiti and vandalism and crime.
That's too bad. It's right off the 405 freeway.
Apparently that wasn't enough to save it. For more, here is CBS LA.
New now at 10, graffiti, glass and groups of people break.
Now there's some alliteration for you, although they're kind of stretching with the groups of people.
New now at 10, graffiti, glass and groups of people breaking into a closed mall in Orange County. Police say they've responded to the Westminster Mall hundreds of times and made dozens of arrests, but the vandalism keeps happening.
If you were alive in the 1980s in Orange County, to hear that mall has been abandoned and it is now the setting for any number of crimes, you would tell the person from the future that they were on drugs, that there was no way that could happen.
CBS LA's Leslie Maring live now from the mall with video of the chaos inside and what's being done to stop it, Leslie.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that video in just a moment. The mall shut down back in October, and since then it's really looked like it.
Boy, that didn't take long.
You see this trend going on all over. It's going on in San Francisco with the Westfield Mall there at Union Square.
The San Francisco Center Mall, they don't call it Westfield anymore, which, by the way, today is a monumentous day. Today's the day that the Panda Express closed.
Uh-oh.
It was the last.
What are you going to do to get your sodium?
It was the last thing in that mall, and it's gone.
The malls are just going the way of the dodo altogether.
Some malls are very, 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 very popular. Usually the ones that have an indoor-outdoor aspect to it. But the old school malls, not a lot going on down there. Plus, you could argue, and I think you're right, that we built way too many of these things. How many Macy's are within like a 5-mile radius in the San Fernando Valley?
So you think that when people go into the big indoor malls, they feel like they're going back into time, like it's some kind of retro experience. But if you go to the Grove where it's indoor, outdoor, you feel like you're doing something?
Yes.
Shut down.
And personally, let me just tell you this. Malls where people are allowed to bring their dogs, I'm more likely to go to those places.
Shut down back in October, and since
because you can say the Westminster Mall is a sign that all the malls are going out of business, but just go a little further down the 405. The Irvine Spectrum is packed every single day.
That's true. Now let's go back to the comment that you just made about your dog. Why is it that you need Fido with you if you're buying a new laptop from Apple?
Because it makes me feel like I'm doing something fun.
You're not blind.
It gives me an excuse to go out to drink because, we got to take the dog out for an adventure. Helps me put money into the economy because I could stay home and drink at home, but LA's not getting any of that money.
I see.
Shut down back in October, and since then it's really looked like it does tonight. Boarded up. There's some graffiti on the outside, but really it's the inside that will shock you. Take a look. A pile of furniture, graffiti, and glass everywhere. This is what it looks like inside the shuttered Westminster Mall.
How many years did it take to build this mall?
It probably took a while. It was a big deal in Orange County for a long time. Now, here's a question. If you're a responding officer and you're told that there's graffiti all over the mall, and you enter the mall and you see the Hot Topic all graffitied up, do you arrest anyone or do you just assume it's part of the decor?
It was heartbreaking and scary. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I was super scared.
Donnie Mueller filmed this video from inside the mall Saturday. He says the sounds you hear in the video are people vandalizing the place.
Those are windows being broken, things being thrown off the belt. Like, I was scared I was going to get hit with something.
He said,
This is Orange County. Maybe you should pay attention to your kids out there.
How weird would that be to be inside a completely empty mall? Because when you go to a mall, you're supposed to see and hear and smell certain things. You're supposed to smell the popcorn at the movie theater. You're supposed to see the people over the women at the hot dog on a stick making the lemonade. You're supposed to see the ladies from Reseda doing a photo shoot over at Sears.
No, now what you see is people taking propane tanks from one of the defunct eateries and throwing them over a ledge to see what happens.
Have you noticed, by the way, anytime they advertise for you to take the family for a portrait at Sears, it is always in the advertisement. It's the ladies from Reseda, and it looks like they're in outer space, where the background is just nothing but stars.
he says he even saw someone toss what looked like a helium tank from the second floor.
Is that where the dental office was?
Mueller, who used to work at the mall, says he was shocked there was no police or security in sight.
Like a lack of security in a way, like to be just.
This is where all the kids in Orange County go to let off steam. They just destroy this mall.
I thought that that's what they used the public school bathrooms for on TikTok.
All those got blown up.
Like a lack of security in a way, like to be just walk in there. Like it was. I know it's different now, but it was wide open.
Westminster Police Commander Andy Stower says the mall has become a major problem since it closed back in October.
Recently, it's taking a lot of our resources. It's tapping us dry through.
I'd also like to point this out. As we constantly hear, California's in a housing crisis. California's in a housing crisis. We don't have room to build anything anywhere. How many abandoned vacant buildings are in this state?
You cannot leave these things abandoned. You either have to put something in them or you have to knock them down. But if you just leave them there, this is what happens.
Most of our shifts.
Stower says since October, they've had more than 400 calls for service to the mall.
Oh, my.
Just last weekend alone, they had 57 calls for service and made 30 arrests, most for trespassing and vandalism.
But let me guess, they're minor, so there's really nothing we can do to them. Even though this is Orange County and this is Todd Spitzer territory, there's still nothing you can do.
Well, and the calls are different. If the mall is abandoned and it's a bunch of drug addicts fighting with one another, it's a different type of call than if someone, I don't know, didn't pay their bill at the Orange Julius.
And the message is, please just don't go inside. We are going to arrest anybody and everybody that we're able to for various crimes, different reasons, whatever it is that we can do to keep people out of the property.
Police say they have increased patrols in the area and are working with the 4 owners of the property and their security to make sure no one goes inside. The mall has attracted people from all over Southern California, including this Westminster dad, who was upset to hear about the vandalism.
Cool, go ahead, sneak in, but just be respectful. It's cool to take videos in there, but just...
Is it?
I think that guy is married to one of the ladies from Reseda.
Cool, go ahead, sneak in, but just be respectful. It's cool to take videos in there, but just, don't go like, just cause mayhem,
Tonight, all mall entrances were boarded up and fences were placed around some entrances.
Yeah, that's not going to stop them.
Now, here's a question. If you're a big, fat, homeless guy with a beard and you're now living in the mall, when the cops tell you to move along, do you just tell the cops that you're the mall Santa and you're waiting for November to roll around?
A Westminster officer was also out patrolling the area. Mueller says he's glad to see progress, but he fears someone could get seriously hurt.
Like, I wouldn't want my niece or nephews playing there. I'll just say that.
Yeah, and several years ago, the city did vote to shut down the mall and replace it with homes as well as other retail shops, although there's still no timeline on when that will happen. We did...
Boy, even in Westminster, even in Orange County.
The bureaucracy is real.
That is true.
They wanted to replace this mall with housing. There's still no plan of what they're going to develop there, so they shut down the mall. They haven't demolished it yet, and so now it's a place for nonstop crime.
Isn't that putting the cart before the horse, though?
Yeah, and several years ago, the city did vote to shut down the mall and replace it with homes as well as other retail shops, although there's still no timeline on when that will happen. We did reach out to owners to see what they will do about the problem. We have yet to hear back. Reporting in Westminster, Leslie Madine, CBS LA.
Now, I just have to point out for context, John, that rap that we just played was from Monday afternoon. Monday evening, Westminster police arrested 10 more jackasses in that mall.
It's like an a-hole magnet now. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number. 1-800-222-5222. Curtis Sliwa joins us at the top of the hour. Let's go to Paul in Laverne. Paul, welcome.
Hey, John, how's it going? Well, my last name's Blart. I'm out of work. They took all my malls away from me. I practice with my PR-50 every day. I shine up my handcuffs. The Hawthorne one was the first to go. Then they took the Old Town one down at Torrance. They're having problems in Del Alma, but they don't want me hanging around there because I can't go beating on children. And this one now in Westminster, there's some good artwork in there. But if I was there, I would have taken care of things. Okay? So what's going to happen? How many more balls are going down in Southern California? I don't be liking this. All right, gentlemen, have a nice day. Bye.
Is that a Kevin James impression? Like, I haven't seen the movie, so I don't know if that's accurate or not.
What are you going to do? All right, it's time to reopen the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
I know.
We couldn't make this stuff up if we tried.
I said, hell no, baby boy. Let me get up on out of here.
It's the California Crime Blotter.
And Randy, this edition of the Blotter takes us to a different mall.
This time we're going to the safest big city in California, San Jose, where the Macy's got robbed.
Again?
Let me just once again point out, I'm really like Matt Mahan, but the statistic that he keeps putting out that said that San Jose is the safest big city in California, the way that they calculated their statistics, they said LA was number 2.
Yeah, no one believes that.
Let's go to KPIX. Nope, ABC 7 in the Bay Area.
San Jose police are investigating a weekend robbery at Macy's at Valley Fair Mall. ABC 7 News South Bay reporter Dustin Dorsey is live with the very latest on the investigation. Dustin, what are police saying about this?
Yeah, Dan,
sounds like someone's speeding in the background.
It sounds like one of those street takeovers.
Yeah, Dan, they say they are looking for 3 suspects that came in armed with hammers, covered with ski masks during a busy shopping day here on Sunday. They attempted to steal expensive watches by smashing display cases, but they also stole the sense of security.
Doing this from a drag race?
It sounds like it. And by the way, if you're standing near the door and you see a group of people come into the mall and they're all wearing ski masks, if you're not at REI, I hope you would call someone.
But they also stole the sense of security from shoppers.
The mall is a place since the 80s where families get together, have fun, grab a snack.
Yeah, it's not really that anymore.
No.
Shop, and to see somebody with a sledgehammer, I would have been terrified. And to see somebody with a sledgehammer, I would have been terrified.
That's exactly.
Oh, I think I need that. We're having some great men on the street in 2026, or women on the street. I think that's a woman.
Well, she's a smoker.
Sledgehammer, terrified. Welcome to the wall.
And to see somebody with a sledgehammer, I would have been terrified.
Pretty sure that's a woman.
Filtered or unfiltered?
That's exactly what shoppers at Macy's and Valley Fair saw Sunday afternoon. San Jose police say 3 masked men entered the mall with hammers and smashed these jewelry display cases just after 1 p.m.
Middle of the day on a Sunday. Holy day.
That's about as brazen as it gets.
Broken glass and signs for Rolex watches were still left behind in the empty cases on Monday.
In the process of the strong armed robbery, I know that they were able to smash the glass and take miscellaneous items. I know at one point there was a loss prevention employee with a department store that was able to intercept one of the suspects.
We learned at least one shopper also assisted following the robbery attempt, actually pulling the backpack off of that suspect when they fled the scene.
Nice.
I'm surprised the mall cop got involved physically.
Usually they don't do that, but we are talking about the Rolex section at Macy's, not Hot Topic.
We do appreciate people coming forward with witness statements and providing evidence that supports. We do, however, emphasize the importance of really just, being safe. Public safety and the safety of others, that's a priority. So we do want to emphasize that.
The incident comes about 6 weeks after a gang-related shooting at the mall on Black Friday.
Oh, yeah, same mall.
Do you think it was just two gangs getting into it with one another, or do you think it was a fight over a $19 flat screen?
No, it was a gang retaliatory shooting, that's for sure. And it was all juveniles. And that got Matt Mahan to honestly get up there and say, we need to rethink our juvenile justice laws. So again, right on a lot of the issues, but let's not kid ourselves and think San Jose is the safest place. San Jose is not Irvine.
Nope.
The incident comes about 6 weeks after a gang-related shooting at the mall on Black Friday. 3 suspects in that case appeared in court Monday. Rafaela Renner says she feels for the families who are caught up in the crimes at this mall that she's visited her entire life.
You witnessed one of those incidents. That'll get you to be an Amazon for Life person.
Oh, could you imagine being at the mall on Black Friday and there's a shootout?
This is a safe mall,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Shangy, you busy right now? No? You want to help us out?
This is a safe mall,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Thanks, Shang.
This is a safe mall,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Except for, the smash and grab this week and the gang shooting a few weeks before that. Still a safe mall.
What does she consider to be unsafe?
Westminster?
It makes me feel a little bit more alert when I'm going to come to the mall from now on. Everything from the shooting and now a smash and grab. Definitely, I'll be on the lookout. It does make me feel a little more uncomfortable.
Really got that message from a lot of people that I talked to about this story. Now, we did reach out and speak with the shopper who intervened during that attempted robbery. He declined an interview, saying he just didn't want to make a bigger deal out of this than it was. San Jose police are still looking for those suspects. If you have any information, you are asked to contact SJPD.
So that's what's going on in today's mall news.
2 mall stories. Yesterday it was 2 copper wire stories. Today it's the malls getting knocked off.
What's it going to be tomorrow? You'll have to tune in to find out.